Hey, we're going low. How low are we going? We're going below the skirt with Tamara. Hi, my name is Tamara Green, and I am a pelvic physical therapist. And I help women overcome uncontrolled bladders, return to that pleasurable sex, manage pregnancy symptoms so you can become a postpartum champion. So, I'm going to play this music. I do not own the rights to this music, but I'm going to play it. So if you are from down south, you may have heard of this song before. It's called Doodoo Brown, right? So the name of this topic that I'm speaking on is fecal incontinence. And when I'm discussing fecal incontinence is describing any type of streaks. So you may have noticed you've had some form of brown streaks in your panties. That is, if you cleaned up really well, that is a form of fecal incontinence. And you may say, I've cleaned up really well. Let me give you an example. You could have used the restroom earlier in the day, right? You wiped really good. You probably deep clean back there, right? Maybe some baby wipes, whatever your heart desires. You may have done that. And when you've done that, what has happened? You're fully clean. You may go to the restroom a couple hours later and you're wiping like you should be from the front to the back, right? So when you do that, you notice some brown streaks. Brown streaks is a form of incontinence. So let me give you a little bit of information. This is my girl Virginia. She is always in the house. She has to be present. So as we know what sits in the bladder, what happens? You have the uterus, you have the bladder, you have the uterus, and then you have the rectum. All three of these organs sit within the pelvic floor, right? So within Virginia, here are your openings, right? You have your vaginal opening, and then you have your anal opening. Now, again, those muscles that support those organs that I mentioned, specifically the rectum, the one that sits at the back, what happens is during that time, if those muscles are not strong enough, they're not engaging as they should, you could have incontinence just like you would have urinary incontinence. Now, you may have an extra little fart that comes through that you didn't control. It's the same thing. You may have some seepage that is coming through, which is called fecal incontinence. It's not full-blown incontinence where you're just letting loose diarrhea, uncontrolled. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about that minute little bit of streaking when you clean really well. A lot of times you may say, where did that come from when I have cleaned as well as I can? That's to answer your question. That is a form of incontinence. I was speaking to a girlfriend of mine today on the way home, and guess what? She was saying, I was talking about what I was going to talk about today in the live. And I said, I'm going to call it boo-boo streaks. She's like, boo-boo streaks? What is boo-boo streaks? I said, boo-boo streaks, poo-poo, whatever you describe it as. It's like when you wipe and you're those brown streaks that you notice, that's what we call a form of fecal incontinence. She was like, what? Say what? Yes. And I said, just watch the live later and let me know what you think. So that is a form of incontinence. And you may say, hey, well, I have a little bit of that and I have urinary incontinence. The good thing is you can knock two birds with one stone at times, and possibly in this situation for you, if you strengthen your pelvic floor muscles the way that it should be properly strengthened, you can also not only assist and help with the problem of urinary incontinence, you can also help with the streakies that is left in those panties. We want those panties to be pretty and sexy, right? We don't want streaks. We don't want any parking spaces in the panties. So if this is something that you're dealing with, you don't have to be embarrassed about it. It's something that's very common, but is it normal? No. Is there a way to fix the issue? The answer is yes. And if you are dealing with this, by all means, you can initiate pelvic physical therapy. You can initiate pelvic physical therapy, and that will assist with those issues that you are having. So you don't no longer have to be doing the song, doodle brown, doodle brown, doodle brown. You don't have to do that. That doesn't have to be you. You can overcome that. you can overcome that and you can live your best life, not only above the skirt, but you can live your best life below the skirt. If you have any comments or concerns about this video, I get it. It may be something you don't want to talk about. You don't talk about that with your girlfriends. We don't even want to talk about having issues when we have a little leak when we laugh, cough, or sneeze. So we know nobody wants to talk about the back end. If this is something that you're dealing with and you have further questions, by all means, why don't you can hit me up. Not even hit me up. You can join me in a chat. I do free 10 to 15 minute consultations with you, and we can discuss your issues and maybe what you need to do to be able to live your best life below the skirt. So thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you soon.